Are you ready to learn to live a life that is overflowing with victory and empowerment? Welcome to Conversations with Dr. Lane. Dr. Lane is a board certified obstetrician and gynecologist. She is committed to addressing health holistically from the mind, body, and soul.
Hi, this is Dr. Antherica Lane with Conversations with Dr. Lane. Let's talk about those things that we do not have time to discuss during an appointment. Let's talk about your finances, business, education, relationships. If I can empower you to make healthy decisions in these areas, I am convinced your mind will be more focused and more open to a conversation about your health.
Turn up the volume. Get ready for Conversations with Dr. Lane.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Dr. Antherica Lane with Conversations with Dr. Lane. It's so wonderful to see you. We are in season 2 of Conversations with Dr. Lane. We have another great conversation, and our conversation is with Dr. Janelle McClain. Dr. Janelle McClain is the founder and executive director of breastfeeding outreach for our beautiful sisters located in Cincinnati, Ohio. Thanks for joining the show. Tune in, share, like. We want everyone to listen to this conversation with Dr. McClain. Let's go. Dr. Janelle McClain is the founder and executive director of the community-based health education breastfeeding intervention program, Breastfeeding Outreach for Our Beautiful Sisters, or BOOBS. Dr. McClain has 5 years of postdoctoral research in African American women and breastfeeding disparities. Her publications are in the area of qualitative breastfeeding disparities within African Americans pertaining to intentions, beliefs, barriers, breastfeeding disparities in an urban cohort of Black and white mothers. Her unique career extends in healthcare, specifically working in management for 14 years at Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center, General and Community Pediatrics. Dr. McClain has worked in the breastfeeding space for over 8 years. BOOBS is dedicated to addressing breastfeeding disparities among African American women and the effect of early infant health by providing an evidence-based breastfeeding intervention program. BOOBS has served over 1,000 expecting moms, partnered with over 20 community partners. Dr. McClain's most proud accomplishment is being the mother of 2 breastfed boys and being actually known as the boobs lady in the community. Dr. McClain's goal is to work herself out of a job in working to ensure that African American women are breastfeeding and building towards a healthy start to a healthy life. Welcome, Dr. Janelle McClain, to Conversations with Dr. Lane. Well, hello, everyone. This is Dr. Antherica Lane with another episode of Conversations with Dr. Lane. Welcome to season 2 of Conversations with Dr. Lane. I've missed you all. I had to take a little break there, but we are back and we have another exciting guest. We have Dr. Janelle McClain. Dr. McClain is the founder and executive director of breastfeeding outreach for our beautiful sisters, also known as boobs. Well, welcome to the show, Dr. McClain.
Thank you for having me. I am excited to be here.
This is right after the Breastfeeding Awareness Month, which was in August, actually, right?
Yes. So August is formally Breastfeeding Awareness Month, but of course, for boobs, we are 12 months out of the year celebrating breastfeeding awareness.
Right. Right. It is so exciting to have you on the show today, but I usually start off my show with one question, and that question is, when did you know that you are powerful? I usually start out with the answer, and my answer is that I knew that I was powerful when I learned that I was a creative individual. Creativity is just a wonderful way to impact people's lives, to affect change, and really challenge individuals to really think outside the box. What about you, Dr. McClain? Anybody who starts a nonprofit is a very powerful person.
Well, thank you. That is a powerful question. I never thought about the power that has been associated with the breastfeeding program. Um, I guess I could uh, say that I was powerful once I realized that my testimony actually turned into a voice, and which actually turned into a movement, which actually turned into a program. So going through some personal struggles myself with breastfeeding, I was able to sort of put that together to say, hey, how can we not have this issue for other women in the community, and packaging that experience and that testimony to make, again, an impact, or a movement towards better breastfeeding experiences for other women.
Yes, that's excellent. Let's talk a little bit about, and whatever you're comfortable talking about, your own story and challenges in regards to breastfeeding. I mean, that really helps to explain why this topic was so important to you.
Absolutely. So when I was, you know, having my first son, and just like most every woman, looking forward to everything with your first child, um, I thought that the best thing, and I also knew the best thing for my son was breastfeeding, along other, alongside other things that you learn about as a new mom. And going into being a new mom and expecting to provide the best for my son, I didn't anticipate running into some, personal health issues, which at that time the doctors wasn't sure whether or not I would be able to actually produce breast milk because of some just personal tumors that were developing. They were benign tumors, but again, they affected the ability to make enough breast milk. And so, faced with a very rare challenge, by the way, or rare condition, I should say, I turned to every single, at the time, expert in lactation, expert in human milk, New England Journal of Medicine. I'm researching, I'm Googling, I'm trying to find an answer to, will I be able to provide my baby with my perceived notion of what's best for him? And we know that it's not even a perceived notion. We know that breast milk is the best option for early infant feeding. And so going through that struggle and not really having a really solid resource to help me to get through that, and having to wait until I actually delivered my son to see, okay, will the milk come? Will it develop? And so the good news is I was actually able to produce breast milk. I was actually able to get my son latched. But then there was another layer to the difficulties in terms of resources and community resources and lactation specialists, and really just someone to kind of listen to, as I felt, me as I was going through these struggles, right? And so there was just a huge gap in my experience. And as I talked to more women and talked to more first time moms, there were so many stories and so many testimonies on how they too were struggling. I felt like, you know what? We don't have to move any further in this space of non support, and recognizing again that there was a gap in the support, the gap in the community in terms of how to get back to mom when she's at home, when she's on the couch, when she's in her room and she's trying to breastfeed and the latch is not working or the baby seems hungry. So packaging that together, my testimony, and making it into, again, a program and a movement to help close the gap, so more moms could breastfeed successfully.
Wow, what a vision. That's absolutely wonderful. If you're just joining the show, this is Dr. Antherica Lane on Conversations with Dr. Lane with Dr. Janelle McClain. Dr. McClain is the founder and executive director of Breastfeeding Outreach for Our Beautiful Sisters, and you will also hear us refer to that organization as boobs. So, how about we just start first with just the perception of breastfeeding? What is your vision for this organization in regards to how your organization may even impact how the world perceives breastfeeding?
Absolutely. So, one of the things I say is that I want to work myself out of a job. And I mean, I want every mom out there to be breastfeeding successfully, to meet those goals, to meet that standard of exclusive breastfeeding, to meet that standard of 6 to 12 months to 2 years. When that goal is accomplished, I am finished with at least this work. So that is one of the visions, to get more moms educated, get more moms the information, get more moms support in terms of their breastfeeding challenges and their breastfeeding journey so that they can be more successful.
Yes, yes. So this is a segment of one of my new series called the Visionary Spotlight, and what I'd like to do with this segment is to really encourage those who have similar dreams, passions, to learn how to package those types of dreams, passions, into something like this, a movement, something that will allow them to share it with others. For those who desire to start a nonprofit, can we walk through your process a little bit? How did you even get started? Once you had an idea, what was next?
That is a great question. So, first, I think it started with my background because I've been in healthcare administration for over 20 years. So I was a little bit of a paper pusher and a bean counter. So I understood the underlining importance of having that nonprofit status in place in order to, one, get funding to do the work, because you want to have those resources to work at and try to accomplish those with financial resources, and two, how to maintain that work and to have it um, represent successfully in terms of those who were interested in investing in that work. And so that nonprofit status is important in those two ways. The other thing is that you just have a network of supporters. So I had other community folks that I was familiar with who started their nonprofit, and they were willing to share and they were willing to sit down and talk about that process and talk about some of the um, barriers you might incline in that process with working with the IRS in that application. The application is about 20 to 23, 25 pages long, and you really have to be detailed oriented in terms of going through those each individual sections and being able to spell out what your mission is, what your goals are, what your financial plans are, who your board members are, what do you plan to do, where do you plan to get money from. So you have to familiarize yourself with, one, the application, two, have some support or a network of friends who've already gone through that process. And then you sort of sit down and you have that information that you're going to pour into that application, and be able to submit it. There's some fees associated with the application as well. So just getting together with someone who has gone through the process, familiarizing yourself with that form 1023, and understanding what the IRS, again, doing your homework and talking to other people, understanding what the IRS is looking for and some of the things that may hold up that application in terms of getting that tax exempt status. Now, I did have, after I did 100% of the legwork. I did have friends that opened up who are in the attorney space, who were open to looking at the application and providing, some guide back, feedback on the application. And so I will just say it was a success, and they felt like, hey, you did a really good job here. There's not much that we need to do. Just look out for, X number of things. And so going through that process, submitting that application, again, it was largely driven by, I'm familiar with, it takes funding in order to make these things happen. Familiar with, application processes because of the healthcare administration background, and familiar with the financial responsibility because, again, the healthcare background. So it's a process, but I think with a team and networking can certainly get through it.
Yeah, that's a great lesson. Number one, you really just need to do some research. You need to do some research and be prepared and learn and kind of put that work in. Don't just hang up your shingle. You need to do some work before you start, just so that you're prepared and that you do things properly. And just that network that you talked about is so important as well. And it's something like this. You can't be an island. You really need to have a village essentially to support something like this. And it's so wonderful that your village came and helped you in this way. I mean, to get legal advice for something like that would be like so expensive for someone who's just starting out.
Exactly. It can be
Yeah.
very expensive. So I'm still forever grateful that took the time to even want to kind of bless the application. Now, I will say I did 100% of it, so they didn't really have to do a lot, mainly anything, but just provide again some tidbits of, okay, this section will probably look a little, weird unless you change this, or this section might be held up. So they provided that kind of feedback, but I definitely did the leg work for that application. So, and 7.5 years later.
Yeah, that's wonderful, wonderful. So, for any small business, the timing of hiring employees is really a critical step. Like, when did you decide that, okay, I'm going to need some help here? And what kind of help did you think it was going to be best to start out with?
So that's a great question. So a little bit more background. Before there were resources to actually do the work and work with moms in the community, myself and my current program coordinator, we actually did this work as volunteers for free.
Mm.
I actually got off of my 9 to 5 job, had my kids with me at some point, or they may have been in another activity. And we invited moms to a community space, and we put together a curriculum, and we taught breastfeeding education for free. And fast forward, like you mentioned, the tax exempt, the nonprofit status, begin to get more resources, then we begin to be able to say, hey, we can actually now get paid a little bit to do this work. So my program coordinator has been just a ride or die from the beginning of this work. We were volunteers because we were
Wow.
so passionate about getting the information out to African American women, particularly because of the disparity of breastfeeding amongst African American women as opposed to other ethnic groups. So we were so passionate about that, and we just did it, in a volunteer status. And the minute we were able to get resources is when we start, let's put this thing to a payroll, along with other partners such as doulas, evaluation or statisticians. I can go on consultants on nutrition, maternal and maternal nutrition. So it did grow according to different projects and according to different funding. So you definitely have to, as your program grows, as your initiative grows, you also see the growth in terms of what is needed in terms of personnel.
Yeah, That's really such a blessing for you to find someone that really bought into the dream, the concept, believed in delayed gratification. That's really rare these days. People want to get paid now. They're not trying to wait a year or 2 years till something grows. So, and that's really a testament of your leadership as well. I mean, just the ability to encourage someone to jump on board. Hey, let's do this together. In your journey, what have been some of your challenges?
So I think one of as a small grassroots nonprofit organization, one of our challenges is existing, right?
Hmm.
And that's because the momentum that this is a good problem in terms of the momentum of breastfeeding has taken off. The attention has been there. There's been a wave that is of attention to making sure that more women are breastfeeding. The Healthy People 2030, there's initiatives in our United States health goals to decrease the breastfeeding disparity and have more babies breastfed and more moms initiating breastfeed. So the attention has bubbled to the top, and with that also comes the big players, the large hospital organizations, the large institutions, the large insurance companies. And so they have far more resources than we do. They have far more reach than we do. And so existing, and it's like the little fish and big fish, right?
Hmm.
It's just that challenge and how to continue our model of breastfeeding intervention, which we've proven to be evidence based and impactful, how to continue that when now we're, to some degree, brushing up against largely partnering. I don't want to say that there's a battle per se, because we're all in it for the same. We have shared interests, but at any point, our little guppy could probably be swooped up. But we're here, and we're existing, and so that's just one of the challenges.
Yeah, I think this is a great time for an organization like yours because many African American women are seeking out organizations that are really geared towards African Americans and who understand the needs of African American women. So I think you all are really successfully positioned in a place to where you can really continue to thrive. And that brings me to what have been some of your greatest successes?
So my measure of success. So let me just put on my two hats, right? My healthcare administration hat, and because I worked in that space for so many years, and that the old world would say the metric, the outcomes, how our moms are. Do we have the clinical data that that the infant mortality rates, the SIDS rates, are they decreasing? The ill visits that they'll see in pediatricians. So those successors were in the back of my mind, in an administration and healthcare world sort of measure. But in the community level, the level of success is when I personally walk into a Kroger with my cart, and a mom who took one of my classes 2 years ago has the baby sitting in the cart and their big brown eyes. And she says, "You're the boobs lady. And we remember we took your class, and he breastfed, and he is the best. And he can eat he likes diverse foods, and he's never been sick." And they're able to actually um, communicate to me and articulate all of those benefits that we talked about 2 years ago. And here's this baby there as just a testament that they're healthy, and the mom breastfed, and she's proud of it, and she's empowered, and she's not even breastfeeding anymore. And that was 2 years ago. So that's one of my community successes, those things that are not measured in the breastfeeding medicine journal or the nutrition journal, or even in a large presentation conference, but those things that come by when I'm just, talking to other moms, or I get a text, or I get a text, the breastfeeding is going great. I'm actually pumping in a car. This is the best thing that I could have ever done. Or if I get a picture of a mom 6 months later, we're still breastfeeding. Those are my successors
Yes.
that I think that are immeasurable.
Yes, that's I keep saying that's wonderful, but it really is. It's just absolutely wonderful to see those really tangible successes, those tangible things that really show that you've and really have demonstrated that you have had some impact on not only the life of the mom, but also the life of the baby for forever, really, for their lifetime. So
Yeah, we
that's
get a
great.
2 for 1.
Yes, 2 for 1. Yeah, that'd be a great marketing campaign. Yeah, for sure. So, who are some of the organizations that you have partnered with in the past?
So we partner with some great organization, and like I mentioned, shared interest partnerships from Cradle Cincinnati, who has a concentrated effort on the infant mortality here in Cincinnati, and recognizes that breastfeeding is a part of the reduction in that, and has that an influence of more babies not becoming sick, because we know health breast milk is the healthiest option. Healthcare Access Now, that works with expecting moms throughout the city on different resource issues. And again, they're sharing the boobs information, like you need, that and to invite them to come to one of our sessions and learn more about breastfeeding. Life Pregnancy Forward, which is a centering model program where they have different discussions on um, child safe sleep, or nutrition for mom, or nutrition for baby. And then there's a breastfeeding component. Oh my goodness, I can go on. WIC, big partner. And the funny thing about WIC used to be a heavily formula
Hmm.
pushing organization. The federal government used to largely push, WIC like 30, or formula like 30 years ago. Well, they have shifted.
Hmm.
They have peer counselors, they have breastfeeding counselors, coaches, and so they team up with those same breastfeeding programs in the community to further push the goal of breastfeeding. So WIC is a big one as well, along with the Queen's Village, which is a part of another arm of uh, Cincinnati Children's Hospital. Oh my goodness, I feel like there was a ton more. There's at least 20
Wow.
um, community partners that we work with. We can't do this work alone. I'm reminded of I put it in my comments a lot, in my ending signature. The African proverb is that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you go with, a group. So go
Hmm.
with partnerships. So it's important that we go far and reach as many moms and babies as possible. And the only way to do that is with collective partnerships.
Yes, yes. Do you have any programs or initiatives that are coming up that our audience should be made aware of?
Absolutely. So, in each year, we have annual activities. As we mentioned at the beginning of the program, we had August was Breastfeeding Awareness Month. So, we have different campaigns of activities that we try to do during August. One of them was our breastfeeding selfie campaign, and we have tons of moms that send us selfies of them breastfeeding, and it's so fun. And they also provide a little caption, right? They'll say, Joey is 2 hours old and breastfeeding as a champion, or
Wow.
baby is 3 years old and never had a drop of formula, or um, we this is baby Cassidy, and we nurse her when it's nap time. She gets her nap. So we see all of these women that have their superpower, which I call breastfeeding their superpower, one of them. And they're sending us this information so that we can again increase the awareness, empower more women to breastfeed, and show more women that this is normalizing breastfeeding. So that's one of the activities that we have in August. So another annual is that we have a community baby shower, which comes up in October, Well, this year we decided to do our community baby shower with a twist, and we're actually going to have three moms do a gender reveal.
Oh,
So we're going
wow.
to do a gender reveal surprise. They'll invite their families and their other children if they have them, and they'll be in front of a whole other audience. So we're excited to get started with that. Um, but those are some of the, and then we have in the holiday seasons, we'll have like boobs and bows. It's just a festive way to celebrate. And keep in mind, every single event still has breastfeeding education curriculum that we do. So no matter what, if the party, we are still going to have some breastfeeding education.
Well, you definitely have a captive audience, so that's
Yes.
that's great.
So
What would you say on a monthly or yearly basis? Like, how many clients are you serving?
so we typically have a little over 200, about we flirt with about 250. Um well, I guess about, I'm trying to think, maybe about a year, maybe about 175.
Okay.
And then over 2 years, a little close to 300. So it just depends on, sometimes it fluctuates. Over the COVID years, we saw a big influx actually of moms. And so as things are beginning to recalibrate and people are getting back to work and, trying to figure things out, we
Mhm.
still have a nice, in my perspective, we have a nice interest.
Mhm.
So it's sort of picking back up, and that's good. But about 175 a year, and in that's unique case moms. So we see individual case. Now, of course, if moms want to rejoin and get a refresher and that kind of thing, that's perfectly fine. But these are for about 50, a little bit over 52%, or about a little bit over half of our moms are first time moms, which is actually really good because that's a critical time for moms to um, get interested in breastfeeding, and more likely to be successful at breastfeeding when they're first time moms and they get the information.
Yeah. So, how can someone become a client if they're listening and they're like, "Oh, this would be great for my granddaughter or even myself." How can we become a client?
Exactly. So we have simple our website has our registration link. It's a simple registration. You can click on the link and provide your information, and in that link, it has a list of our days and times and that we offer the sessions. We do both hybrid um, uh, virtual sessions as well as in-person sessions. And we also get a ton of referrals from our partners, the 20 partners that we, like we mentioned earlier, from the WIC, from the Healthcare Access Now, from Life Pregnancy Forward, from Hawksworth UC OB office, other OB offices. So referrals from partners, social media, believe it or not, 90% of our moms come from social media.
Mm.
But this is a social media age. They're at
Yes.
that age when they're 21 to 45, that childbearing age. They're pretty much on social media. So we do get a lot of referrals from there as well.
Great, great. And how can someone donate? I'm sure Boobs takes donations.
Yes, we do. We are, car wash, bake sale, whatever it takes to get, our funding to support our moms. We also have the donation link on our website as well. If anyone wanted to visit Boobs breastfeeding, you have to put the breastfeeding part in there. .com, and there's a donate option. We have Cash App and or PayPal, as well as checks.
Okay. Great, great. So, how can everyone reach you? You mentioned the website. Say that website one more time and just the best way to reach out to your organization if they're interested.
Yes, so we are definitely on social media, Facebook or Meta, which is Breastfeeding Outreach for our beautiful sisters. If you start typing out those keywords, our program will come up, as well as on Instagram, which is boobs underscore breastfeeding, as well as our website, which is www.breastfeeding-boobs.com.
Okay, well, great. Well, this has been wonderful, Dr. McClain. Thanks for stopping by Conversations with Dr. Lane.
Thank you for having me, and I enjoyed it.
Oh, well, wonderful, wonderful. We have just concluded another exciting conversation with Dr. Janelle McClain, founder and executive director of Breastfeeding Outreach for our beautiful sisters. Please look her up, and she is a wonderful resource for breastfeeding. Wish you well. Share this, like this, tell all of your friends and family about this show with Dr. McClain. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.